Capsaicinoid extract is extremely unpleasant to get on your skin and in your eyes. However, luckily, capsaicinoids are not particularly toxic. Proper safety equipment such as gloves and goggles are absolutely required. Highly concentrated capsaicinoids on your skin can burn as much as acid, and the burn can last for more than a day. Washing the affected area with water will not do much to relieve the burning. Capsaicinoids are the chemicals in chili peppers that give them their spiciness. The major and most potent capsaicinoid in chili peppers is called capsaicin. Capsaicinoids trigger a burning feeling by stimulating neurons that normally detect heat. The most common use of capsaicinoids is to make food spicy. However, capsaicin does have some other uses, such as its use in pepper spray or as a pain reliever. Extracting and concentrating the capsaicinoids from hot chili peppers can be a fun exercise. The extracted capsaicinoids can have many uses, such as for homemade hot sauce, animal deterrents, or even homemade pepper spray. For this experiment to proceed smoothly, you're going to need at least several things. Hot peppers, for example habaneros, acetone, coffee filters, various glass containers, funnel, and gloves. When choosing the hot peppers, choose the hottest ones you're capable of getting. Using gloves is extremely important if you don't want your hands to burn. First, I went out and bought about a pound of fresh habaneros. I laid out each habanero on a pan with aluminum foil. I then removed the stem and cut each habanero in half. I then put the habaneros in the oven to dry them. Ideally, the oven should be warm and not hot. You don't want to cook the peppers, you just want to dry them out. I was in a rush and I turned the temperature up a little too high, so the peppers did get cooked a little and become black. This is fine, however, because it won't affect the extraction process at all, because after all, we aren't planning to eat these, so it doesn't matter if they get cooked. After taking the peppers out of the oven, let them cool and make sure they are crispy and crunchy. I then transferred the peppers to a blender to grind them up as much as possible. You should keep running the blender until the peppers are completely powderized. Next, I placed the funnel into a tall glass container. I followed this by pouring in all of the powdered pepper. Then, I added about 500 milliliters of acetone. Unfortunately, I spilled some of the acetone onto the counter, but luckily the countertop was acetone resistant. Because the cap might be degraded by acetone vapors, I first wrapped the top with aluminum foil before screwing down the cap. You should leave this container sealed for about a week and shake it up once or twice a day. This is what my acetone solution looked like after about a week. This step must be done in a well-ventilated area. I added a filter paper to the funnel and I filtered the solution through into a container with a large open top. The large open top of this container will allow the acetone to evaporate faster. Let the acetone evaporate for however long it takes to only have about 100 or 200 milliliters left. I put a strainer on top to try to prevent things from falling inside. After only a couple hundred milliliters remained, I filtered the acetone capsaicin solution into a mason jar. The second filtering step is required, as you'll probably notice that as the acetone evaporates, insoluble stuff will precipitate out. Leave this acetone to evaporate in a well-ventilated area until only a small amount of oil remains on the bottom. Eventually, only a goopy oil remained on the bottom of the mason jar. In theory, the oil on the bottom could be your final product, but I decided to transfer it to a smaller container. If you choose to continue, you're going to have to use something that's resistant to acetone, so definitely don't use any common plastics. Using the syringe, I transferred most of the oil to the small dram vial. I then used small amounts of acetone to rinse the mason jar, which I then transferred to the small dram vial as well. Eventually the dram vial was topped off and it was placed in a well-ventilated area to evaporate. The final product is a dark red oil. The red oil is mainly beta carotene, and the amount that you get will depend on how much pepper you use.